Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of the Sight Crusader. I'm very happy to be here. This is the episode before Christmas. So I thought it to be important to talk about going into the holidays as we just did our anxiety episode last week. I wanted to kind of follow up on that this week going into the holidays because I know for me, myself, I've had a lot of anxiety going into Christmas, and it's not something that is easy for me, especially at this time in my life. So I thought I'd go through some of the things that we may be going through and maybe talk about how we can get through those and cope with them. If you like my show, like, subscribe, and ding the bell. It always helps my channel grow, and then I can do more fun stuff, I suppose you could say. Oh, I do also have my Ohio State shirt on today because we beat the Tennessee Volunteers this week. Now we're gonna beat up on Oregon. So yeah, I had to throw that out there. I've been really repping my Ohio State stuff this week. But so when we talk about it, so we're a day away from Christmas Eve, and that's a lot of families start their Christmas season at Christmas Eve. I know growing up as a kid, Christmas Eve was always for my dad because my parents were separated. They were divorced. So Christmas Eve was always for my dad and Christmas Day was always for my mom. So I know that with my dad, Christmas Eve was always a big day for us. And as a child, looking back, I can always remember how great that day was and how much effort and fun that they put into that day, my dad and my stepmom at that time. So I have extremely good fond memories of Christmas Eve. Now, as an adult looking at Christmas Eve and, from the past, have raising kids and getting through that was always the preparation day for me and my family. So, to make sure that the kids all had a great Christmas Day morning. So we would, anticipate and hurry up and get the kids to sleep so we can do all this stuff. Generally we had presents hidden all over the place or hidden over at the in-laws' house. And then I'd have to drive over in the middle of the night, pack my SUV up and then bring it over and hurry up and cram all these presents under the tree, get all this food ready. So, and then travel. Then you got to travel everywhere because all the families want to have dinners and see each other. And there's a lot that goes on in like a very short amount of time. In 24 hours, you could, plan 2 events and then go drive to 2 more. So it's hectic. It's hectic. So I want to talk about some of the things that we can experience with anxiety going into the holidays. So there's a high expectation that some people put on themselves. I know I've seen them many a times. I have former in-laws that were extreme when it came to Christmas, and they had high expectations and they wanted everything to be perfect all the time. And if it wasn't, watch out. So we can overachieve at Christmas time and set unrealistic expectations that you're not going to achieve. You're going to expect this perfection. Like I've planned out the food. I've planned out when everybody will get here. I've planned out when we'll open presents. I've planned out when we'll do family games and things like that. It's never going to completely work out according to plan. So you can tend to give yourself some anxiety just by over planning the holiday, which those expectations are unrealistic because you're never going to have a perfect event. And then you can throw in like going and seeing, the grandparents or whatever. You got to travel to see your brother or sister or whatever the case may be. You have to go to another event and you're hoping that everybody can be ready on time so you can get there at a certain time and the event can start on time. And there's all this planning that you try to do. And generally there's going to be something that's going to hiccup that plan. So we need to realize, for those of you that are Christmas perfectionists, that it may not go 100% according to plan. And we need to prepare mentally that, hey, there may be something that comes up where somebody isn't going to make it on time, or the food didn't get cooked quite right. And just accept that, be thankful that you're just there as a family, instead of, getting upset and bringing a dark cloud to a day that should be full of joy and happiness. So keep that in mind for those of you Christmas perfectionists. You can also experience like just a general anxiety and anxiousness, just an anxiousness for the holidays, where you can put too much weight on yourself and forget to ask for help. The Christmas doesn't have to revolve around you doing everything as one person. I know, as a father figure, and for, I've been married twice. So, seeing both my wives, ex-wives, whatever you want to call them, watching them try to do too much. I always try to do too much. I'm a doer, so I will just start doing things. And I tend to burn myself out by the time Christmas morning comes, and I'm cashed. I'm ready to be done. So try to delegate the task of Christmas. If you have a significant someone or an older child or family in town visiting, try to delegate some of that responsibility, so you're not just running around doing it on your own, because you are going to overwhelm yourself, and you're going to ruin your own experience with Christmas. Christmas should be a time where you just sit down with your family and just relax. And I know that there are things that have to get done, but try to utilize the resources around you to get them done. So you could have excessive worries, which that's a sign of generalized anxiety disorder, which we talked about last week. And so you can actually like worry yourself into this situation where you may need to get some anti-anxiety meds. I know with Christmas, it's going to be too little too late, because you're going to experience this anxiety and you're not going to be able to get in to see a psychiatrist or a mental health professional in time to deal with these issues. So you're going to have to figure out ways to get yourself through it. And so that way you're just not a giant anxiety ball the whole time of Christmas. If you have to just remove yourself from rooms, change your atmosphere. I'm big on change your atmosphere. I'm a big advocate for that. Just get out of the room, go to another room. When you have a lot of family around you during Christmas, you tend to start to worry, because you gotta, talk to this uncle and talk to this cousin, and then their kids. We'll figure out who everybody is. Everybody shows up with more kids every year, it seems like. So you have to be ready for those situations, but you don't want to overly overstress yourself or over worry about those things, because you're going to end up giving yourself a real quick burnout, and it's not going to be any fun. So family dynamics. So holidays often feature family gatherings. Obviously, everybody goes somewhere generally, or they have people gather at their home. It can be challenging if the family relationships are strained, or there's a history of conflict. I've been in plenty of those. It does make it uncomfortable, but what we have to do is just do our best to keep the atmosphere positive, even if there are troubled family members or family members that don't get along with each other, which it happens. Those things happen. So let's just try, if you're able to, as kind of a family head, to try to alleviate stress and alleviate some of the tension that comes with family gatherings. I know I have two daughters that don't like each other. So every time they get in the room with each other, it's like they're throwing mental daggers at each other. So I 100% get it. Sometimes, I've had to put my foot down in the past, and usually one of them or both of them ends up mad at me. So I totally understand the family dynamic part. Um, it's challenging for sure. Financial issues, that is a huge one. It's always the one for me because I dread Christmas so much every year that I tend to um worry about Christmas at like Thanksgiving. So I'm like, I'm always behind on my financial plan for Christmas. And and then this year for me personally, I'm going through all this divorce and everything, and and so I- my financial situation got worse to where I still have the same dollar amount in bills, but I only have one income to pay them. Uh, Unfortunately, somebody was able to get off scot free without having to worry about the marital asset bills. So that has created a major stress on me where I've had to figure out, how am I going to make these things happen. So financial issues is huge. If people, because generally my kids all live all over the place. I'm in Atlanta. I've got a daughter in Chicago. I've got a daughter and two sons in Indiana. I've got a kid here in Georgia with me. That's about 2 hours away, about 2.5 hours. So I would have to. There would be a lot of travel expenses, and it's hard to get everyone in the same room at the same time. So uh, there's travel expenses that come up, um, hotel situations that come up. And if you're hosting, you've got to buy all the food, you've got to do decorations, you got to do all this and that and whatnot. And so you tend to pile on a debt for Christmas time, and it does create a financial burden for you for some people. I know for me, it does. Christmas time usually is anyway a financial burden, even when I have two incomes in my house. It's still making sure that you make everybody happy is what every dad wants to do. So you tend to uh, you know drag yourself through the mud to make everybody happy. You also go through grief and loss. So I Christmas time is always a huge reflection time for me. And because I have so many memories of Christmas, of like my mom passed away in 2007. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are probably going to be grieving, loved ones, but Christmas was her favorite holiday. And she didn't have a whole lot, and we didn't have much growing up, but Christmas time, she made sure that we had things. And I don't know how she pulled it off every year, but it always reminded me of my mom, every Christmas, because she made a miracle happen at least one day every year. And I'll always appreciate her for that. So Christmas is a good reflection of my mom, and the battles that she's had to go through in life, but she still made time, and to make me and my brother and my little sister feel special, on Christmas, and make it was always the best Christmas, all the time. um I'll always, be appreciative of her for what, the joy that she brought us every Christmas. And also, when you go through, once you go through these things where Christmas was once a source of joy, like what I said, and when we have, you lose a loved one where that was a joyful time, and now you're constantly reflecting, and you remember, Christmas isn't the same. And it's a painful reminder of what you've lost. And whether it's someone passing away, or if you've been estranged. So Christmas time is just a big pile up of emotions for me. This is the first Christmas that I've had to do alone. So I'm having some anxiety about that. I'm sitting here and I'm missing my family, and I'm missing, my previous wife, and her two kids, and, the fun stuff we used to do, and the traveling, and, just enjoying each other's company. And that's been hard for me. leading up into this. I've tried to just keep myself busy to not worry about it. But now that we're getting close to that day, and I'm not traveling home, but I know that my ex-wife is, and her kids. So I'm sitting here going, man, I should be there going home and spending time with the people that I grew to love. And but I'm not. I'm here, 600 miles away by myself. And so I've just tried to keep myself busy to not think about those things, and the things we we can't we should be unburdened by what has been, kind of thing. It's my Kamala Harris quote. So, the grief and loss is a big one. And I hope everyone takes that time. I do think it is healthy to reflect on our loved ones that we've lost. Um, don't let it engulf your entire holiday, but just give them that little bit of tribute, and just let them know that you're still thinking about them, and that, their memory is still alive. Um, so, it's kind of tough for me to talk about, 'cause you spend all this time like just going on with life, and then these holidays come up and it's hard to deal with. And you get it's very emotional. Holidays are very emotional, a lot of anxiety. I'm going through all of it. So, I'm trying to cope the best that I can. Loneliness is another one. And like I said, I'm not going anywhere for Christmas. So I'm experiencing, that loneliness this year, and, missing seeing my kids, and my grandbabies, that they're just so much fun. But I'm going to miss them this year. And I'm hoping that I'll be able to get to them, in the summertime, maybe, and have a little get together with them. But, Christmas times is going to be an alone time for me, and I'm not really liking it, but that's the nature of the beast this year, because it's this season's supposed to be bringing people together. And it can feel lonely if you don't have loved ones to celebrate it with. So I'm struggling with that a little bit. Now, depression. It's one thing I'm not really struggling with, even though I'm down and I'm worried about all these things. I'm not depressed. I know that I just need to get these next couple days to just pass, and I'll be okay. But some people will go through depression, and that's something that you need to pay attention to when you slip into depression. And we've talked about this in other episodes. We don't want to get into clinical depression situations where, you've let this holiday build up your anxiety, then you get depressed because things just aren't happening the way you want it to. And then boom, now you're in a long period of depression, and we're in a clinical depression situation. And now you have to go get medicated and see a doctor and a therapist and everything else. So we want to try to prevent those situations from happening. And they're definitely can be heightened in the holiday season. You get this holiday stress, you're putting your energy into all this. And, Colin, welcome. It's been a while. Um, you know, this is why I'm glad you're here, Colin, because you bring some excitement to a sappy show. So Colin says, I find that mild depression isn't as bad as spicy hot depression. That is 100% factual. You can't fact check that. It's 100% factual. So thanks for bringing that to our attention, Colin. Oh, you're good. You're good. So just try to avoid depression situations. If you start to feel yourself, slipping down and getting into that, that deep, dark hole, just go talk to somebody that'll listen to you. You're going to be in the holidays, so you're going to be around a lot of family. Merry Christmas, Colin. And I got to move my cursor a little bit so I can read the next ones. You could also have like this difficulty concentrating. Christmas can get so overwhelming, and like people with ADHD, especially, even if you're medicated, Christmas time is so stimulating. It's overstimulating that even if you're medicated, your ADHD could flare up, or a depression situation, like we just said. So your focus issues can stem from side effects of medication, stress, lack of sleep, health issues, and mental health conditions. So if you have mental health conditions already, you need to take the time in this holiday season to be even more aware of your mental health stability. Because obviously this is a very emotional time. You're going to go through a lot of very, very emotional things. And we need to be able to stay ahead of the reaction and be able to self-identify the way we're feeling and how we're going to deal with it. Stressed about giving gifts. That's something that I mean, sometimes I stress about that. Sometimes I don't. It just depends on the year and the age of everybody. Like sometimes it's easy to get gifts for people. Sometimes it's not. I, I just want to do what my dad does. He just hands you an envelope with money in it and here you go, Merry Christmas. He puts he puts zero thought into it. And I like that. I wish my Christmas, I wish I could get away with doing that. I mean, I am with my older children as time goes by. I just hand them, money and they're happy with that. But it does take the thought process out. But I'm just not a creative person like that to where I will come up with the perfect gift for everyone. I'm not good at that. So it's easier for me to do what my dad does and just hand an envelope with money in it and say, there you go. I'm sure you got some bills or something you need to pay. And they don't mind, So the perfect gift is it's common to get caught up into the commercialization of Christmas. So that's what they do. They flash all these, new, gaming systems and games and new toys for men to, screw stuff. That's not metaphorically speaking, but it came out really bad. But don't get caught up into that commercialization. The advertisers are gonna try and get you to buy all kinds of shit. So try not to do that. It's just going to create more stress, and that stuff they advertise hard for it because it's expensive and they want you to buy it. So that's being stressed about giving gifts. Just keep things, as simple as you can. Unless somebody wants to get me a McLaren or something, I'll gladly accept a McLaren if somebody wants to get me a McLaren. And you know what, Colin? That's a good point. Colin says the trick to Christmas is it doesn't have to be the perfect gift. It doesn't. Sometimes it can just be something small and it's just with some meaning to it. It doesn't have to be the coolest thing or the hippest thing or just something with a little bit of meaning to it. I when my kids get me stuff, it's the meaningful things that I get all butterflied about, like, oh, you remembered that and you thought about me at this time. Colin said he can give a man duct tape and he'll be happy. Yeah, you know what? You're right. I asked for a new toolbox last year and I got it. And there weren't any tools in it, but it was a toolbox. And I thought, how organized I can get this year. I'm going to get really organized. And I did. Got all my tools all organized. Because my old toolbox wasn't getting it done. You can have feelings of being panicked. Like you can almost give yourself a panic attack. And that happens a lot. And because panic attacks just come on sudden. It's something that it just comes out of nowhere. You start getting anxiety, then you have a panic attack. Pretty soon you're talking about going to the hospital. You can have intense feelings of fear that cause physical symptoms, like your heart will start racing, you'll breathe fast. I've had anxiety or panic attacks before, anxiety attacks, same thing. You could have, a lot of sweating. So if you start to feel like you're being overwhelmed and you're starting to hyperventilate, you feel your blood pressure start to go up, just change the atmosphere. First thing you need to do, see if you can calm yourself down that way. If you can't, I would highly recommend that you seek medical attention. At least be safe than sorry. You know how many stories there are, people who have heart attacks or they'll stroke out at Christmas, and now you're going to a funeral before everybody goes home. So unreasonable irritability, I see that a lot. Like I said, I've had in-laws like that where Christmas turns into a very irritable situation. Um, it can be normal to be an irritable person at Christmas time to a certain extent, but if it persists, it may indicate you're having a mental health condition, such as you're starting to become depressed or you're experiencing some sort of level of anxiety. So please be wary of your behavior. I know it's hard because you have 1,000 things you're worrying about during this holiday season, and your own mental stability is not on that list, but make it part of that list. If you are struggling with Christmas, continue to change your atmosphere, change your surroundings, go into other rooms, nice quiet rooms where you can just regroup and then go back to your activity. It's very easy to get caught up into the stresses of Christmas and have issues. Now, statistically speaking, 89% of adults experience stress during the holidays. I think that's out of all the shows I've done for the Sight Crusader. I have not felt good about any of the psychological statistics except for this one, because I do believe that is probably very accurate. 89% of adults are a stress ball during Christmas, during holidays. It's very easy to see where that could be an issue. 41% of adults experience higher stress than other times of the year. Agreed. Christmas time is the only time of the year where I really, really like experience stress, because there's so many memories involved, so many family members involved, so many memories involved, and everything just gets resurrected every year. Like the emotions that you go through, they get resurrected every year at Christmas time. And my dog just moved my camera. She needs to stay up on her side. But just keep in mind, you're going to have plenty of family around you this holiday. So if you need help, talk to people. Share your emotions. You're all family. You should be able to go to each other with these things. And if you see somebody stressing out at the holidays, talk to them. Make an effort to try to help somebody during the holiday season. It's a big thing, to go through the holidays. My dog's distracted me from my thought process. She keeps moving my freaking camera. It's making me mad. Okay. One thing that you can do that I highly recommend, if you are someone of faith, the quickest trick, and it's not a trick, it's just a reconnection with your faith. If you are not connected, if you are connected and you start to get stressed out, take some time to yourself and reconnect with the higher power, and God's going to listen to you and help you out. That's the best thing. What's the season for anyway? I'm been in a lot of prayer for the last few months, and every time I ask for something, God does come through. And so I highly recommend that we take this time, not just because it's Christmas time. And if you're not a spiritual person, let this time period, bring you to it, and then build a habit for getting closer and closer to our Maker. I think it's a good time to do that, because the atmosphere's right, and that's what we celebrate Christmas for anyway. It's not to see who can buy the best gifts for each other's kids. This is the time to celebrate the life of Jesus, the birth of Jesus, and the great creator of our entire world. So I always take time to remember that. And pray for some peace. We're in a time in this world where things are crazy, and it'd be a good time to throw some positive prayer out there for the world. As we get close to inauguration, there's a lot of high anxiety for the inauguration. There's a lot of excitement for the inauguration. We have all these wars and conflicts going on all over the place. It's a good time to as a family unit to throw some positive prayers towards the people out there that are suffering this Christmas. The homeless people out there, the people who their homes have been blown up and they have nowhere to go, or people who half their family has been killed in a conflict. Throw some positive prayer out for those people, and let them sleep well at least one night. And but I know this is kind of a quick one. I just wanted to get this out here before the holidays. Hopefully some of these things will help you out. Self-identification is the biggest one. Take some time, change your atmosphere, do some praying, and you'll get through the holiday season. Talk to your family members too, please. Try to be forgiving and patient. That's going to be key. I know it's hard for some family members because there's so much back history, but it's never too late to take a step forward. All right. So everybody take care out there. Be safe in your travels for the holidays. I will be back on. I'm actually going to do a show on Christmas Day for the Expendable show. So I will see some of you that watch that show on Christmas Day. But if you only watch this one, I will see you next Monday. All right. I'm out of here. Merry Christmas.